The oil your cardiologist told you to use instead of butter has been quietly oxidizing inside your arteries for decades. The 2026 food pyramid has officially reversed course. Evidence connecting refined seed oils to leg circulation failure is undeniable. This video contains educational information based on the 2026 dietary guidelines and published vascular research. It does not constitute medical advice. Always consult your doctor before making dietary changes, especially if on medication. Leg circulation problems, cold feet, cramping at night, heaviness in calves, and expanding varicose veins. These are common complaints in adults over 60. Most physicians attribute them to age and genetics. Few think to ask about the oil in the kitchen. The connection has been visible in research for years. What it lacked was official recognition, which arrived with the 2026 dietary guidelines. For 40 years, the dietary establishment promoted polyunsaturated vegetable oils as heart-healthy alternatives. The logic seemed sound. These oils lower LDL cholesterol, understood to mean better cardiovascular outcomes. Science did not adequately account for the chemical nature of these oils once they enter the human body, particularly for someone consuming them daily for 3 or 4 decades. The long-term effects were overlooked. Have you been told your leg circulation problems are just part of aging while still using vegetable oil every day? Tell us in the comments. Send this video to someone who cooks with canola or soybean oil without knowing the risks. Omega-6 polyunsaturated fatty acids are the dominant fat fraction in refined seed oils. Their defining characteristic is structural instability. Multiple double bonds make them susceptible to oxidation. When heated in a pan or processed at high temperatures, they oxidize, forming toxic compounds. Aldehydes, lipid peroxides, and reactive oxygen species are absorbed into the bloodstream with food. Oxidation doesn't just happen in the pan, it continues inside the body after absorption. Omega-6 fatty acids in cell membranes remain vulnerable, generating continuous low-level oxidized lipid byproducts. These byproducts reach every tissue, causing damage. The endothelium is where this becomes relevant to leg circulation. The endothelium is the single-cell thick inner lining of every blood vessel. It's not passive tissue. It's a metabolically active surface that regulates blood flow, modulates inflammation, and resists plaque formation. When healthy, blood flows smoothly. Vessels dilate and contract appropriately to the body's demands. When chronically exposed to oxidized lipid byproducts, it becomes inflamed. Its surface roughens and functions degrade. The body deploys repair mechanisms. Macrophage activity produces foam cells, and smooth muscle proliferates. These repair processes, intended to protect, instead progressively narrow the interior of the vessel. In coronary arteries, this narrowing produces heart disease. In leg arteries and veins, it causes circulation problems. Older adults are told to manage with compression garments and blood thinners. Accepting their legs won't feel young again. The biochemical driver is the same: chronic endothelial exposure to oxidized lipids from decades of seed oil consumption. Patricia, 67, retired, managed leg cramps and poor circulation with prescription medication for 4 years. Her diet was meticulous: olive oil-based margarine, canola oil for cooking, low-fat dairy, minimal red meat. A nutritionist identified seed oils as the primary concern, suggesting eliminating them entirely. She replaced cooking fats with butter, tallow, extra virgin olive oil, and added sardines and mackerel. Within 5 months, her leg cramping decreased substantially. Her follow-up ultrasound showed improved flow. Her vascular surgeon asked what she changed. He was quiet, then admitted he was not aware of that research. He is now. If you are switching your cooking oils this week, write in the comments. Clean arteries start in the kitchen. Drop a like so I know this content is reaching the right people, and subscribe so you do not miss what comes next. The 2026 dietary guidelines represent the clearest official acknowledgement of distorted omega-6 to omega-3 ratios. Restoring balance by eliminating refined seed oils and increasing animal fats and oily fish is a priority. The target ratio is between 1:1 and 4:1 omega-6 to omega-3, similar to traditional diets. The current average in Western diets is 15:1 to 25:1, a significant distance from the guidelines. This is not a minor dietary adjustment. It is a fundamental shift in the fat chemistry of daily eating. The practical mechanics are straightforward. Cook everything at home in butter, ghee, tallow, lard, or extra virgin olive oil. These are default fats, replacing seed oils entirely. Not occasional alternatives, but the new standard. When buying packaged foods, the ingredient label is your guide. Avoid soybean, canola, sunflower, corn, vegetable oil. Also, avoid partially hydrogenated anything. These products are more broadly present than most people realize. Salad dressings, mayonnaise, crackers, bread, canned soups, frozen meals, and restaurant cooking all commonly use them. Avoiding them requires attention, but it does not require difficulty. It requires making it a priority. Omega-3 fatty acids work through a corrective mechanism. EPA and DHA, found in fatty fish like sardines and salmon, are incorporated into cell membranes. They compete with omega-6 for enzymatic pathways that produce inflammatory or anti-inflammatory signals. When omega-3 levels are adequate, the balance tips toward anti-inflammatory, prostaglandins, and resolvins. These actively support endothelial health and blood vessel tone. 2 to 3 servings of fatty fish per week, combined with eliminating seed oils, produces a measurable shift in membrane fatty acid composition. This shift occurs within 6 to 8 weeks, with vascular effects following. Now, an important clarification before we continue. The dietary changes described are for healthy older adults looking to reduce vascular risk through nutrition. If you have existing cardiovascular disease, are on anticoagulants, or have peripheral arterial disease, consult your specialist. Omega-3 fatty acids have mild antiplatelet effects that can interact with medication. Real food works through real biological mechanisms. This warrants clinical coordination in medically complex situations. Nitric oxide is crucial for vasodilation, allowing adequate blood flow to the legs. Endothelial cells produce nitric oxide in response to blood flow shear stress and healthy endothelial function. When endothelial function is impaired by oxidized lipid damage, nitric oxide production declines. Vessels become less able to dilate. This leads to cold extremities, cramping, and exercise intolerance, making poor circulation a daily experience. Restoring endothelial health by removing oxidized seed oil consumption directly supports nitric oxide signaling recovery. Foods that further support nitric oxide production include leafy greens rich in nitrates, beets, and animal proteins. These provide arginine and citrulline, which serve as nitric oxide precursors. The varicose vein component of leg circulation problems is mechanically different from arterial insufficiency, but shares the same inflammatory context. Venous wall integrity depends on collagen and elastin. Chronic systemic inflammation from oxidized lipid consumption degrades this matrix, reducing structural resilience and accelerating valve dysfunction. This allows blood to pool. Collagen-supporting nutrition, like adequate vitamin C, glycine from collagen-rich foods, and zinc, all support venous wall maintenance. This cannot be replicated by compression garments or pharmaceuticals at the structural level. Write down the oils in your kitchen. Count how many are seed oils. Then decide this week to replace each one as it runs out. or immediately, if you are willing, with butter for cooking and extra virgin olive oil for cold use. That is the beginning. Add 1 serving of sardines to your weekly routine. These 2 steps, taken consistently, begin shifting vascular chemistry. The shift is slow by medication standards, but permanent by structural health standards. This trade-off is worth understanding. The temperature asymmetry between your 2 feet is a telling early indicator of vascular compromise that many dismiss. If one foot is consistently cooler, or both are chronically cold even in warm environments, the vascular system is compensating. This is a measurable physiological signal that circulation to your extremities is managed under constraint. The dietary interventions discussed, especially eliminating seed oils and introducing omega-3 rich foods, address the upstream biochemical condition driving that constraint. They won't produce immediate warming of the feet. What they will do, over weeks and months, is reduce the inflammatory burden. This reduces the inflammatory burden on the endothelial lining that limits your vascular capacity. Walking is the most direct mechanical stimulus. Each time calf muscles contract during walking, they act as a venous pump, compressing deep veins and propelling blood toward the heart. This mechanical action maintains venous valve function, reduces pooling, and stimulates vascular endothelial growth factor. This signaling protein promotes collateral circulation around partially blocked vessels. The combination of dietary intervention and regular gentle walking, even 15 to 20 minutes daily, produces vascular outcomes that neither intervention achieves alone. The diet changes the biochemical environment. The walking provides the mechanical stimulus for adaptation within that improved environment. The sleep position dimension of leg circulation is practical and rarely discussed. Elevating the feet slightly during sleep, using a folded pillow under the ankles, reduces venous pressure that accumulates in the lower legs during the day. It supports overnight drainage of interstitial fluid that contributes to heaviness and swelling many older adults experience. This is not a dietary intervention, but it works synergistically with dietary changes by reducing mechanical load on venous walls. Magnesium deficiency contributes to nocturnal leg cramping through a distinct but parallel mechanism to vascular issues. Magnesium regulates muscle membrane potential and calcium channels, governing muscle contraction. Insufficient magnesium makes muscle cells hyperexcitable. They contract more readily and spontaneously. Nocturnal leg cramps, often attributed to poor circulation, frequently have a magnesium deficiency component. Addressing both vascular inflammation through seed oil elimination and magnesium deficiency through leafy greens, pumpkin seeds, and nuts addresses both contributors to the same symptom. This is why the dietary approach often produces more comprehensive relief. It targets multiple mechanisms, unlike single pharmaceutical interventions. Take these steps for better vascular health. The biochemistry of lipid oxidation in cooking deserves specific attention. It's where most people's understanding of seed oil harm stops short of the full picture. When you heat soybean or sunflower oil, a cascade of oxidative reactions occurs. This generates compounds like 4-HNE, malondialdehyde, and acrolein. These compounds are absorbed into the bloodstream, modifying proteins and lipoproteins. They contribute to oxidized LDL particles, far more atherogenic than native LDL. Your doctor's standard cholesterol panel doesn't distinguish between native and oxidized LDL. It counts total LDL particles without regard to their oxidative status. Many with normal cholesterol levels still have significant arterial disease. The relevant metric is LDL oxidation, driven by the stability of fats consumed. Saturated fats, by contrast, have no double bonds and are chemically resistant to oxidation. Butter, tallow, and ghee, heated in a pan, do not produce harmful aldehydes. They produce steam, flavor compounds, and Maillard reaction products of protein browning. None of these carry the vascular endothelial toxicity of oxidized polyunsaturated fats. This is the difference between a fat that causes damage and one the body has managed safely. The olive oil nuance is worth stating precisely. Extra virgin olive oil is primarily oleic acid, a monounsaturated fat. It's more stable than polyunsaturated fats, but less stable than saturated fats. For cold use, salad dressings, or light sautéing, it's an excellent choice. It offers well-documented cardiovascular benefits from its polyphenol content. For high-heat cooking, it is not the ideal option. Butter, ghee, or tallow are more appropriate for searing and frying. This distinction is practical, and the 2026 guidelines support both uses. A practical exercise. For the next 2 weeks, read the ingredient label of every packaged food. Note every time you encounter soybean oil, canola oil, sunflower oil, corn oil, or vegetable oil. You will likely be surprised by the frequency. Crackers, chips, canned soups, salad dressings, baked goods, granola bars, and most condiments contain these oils. Eliminating seed oils from home cooking is impactful. Reducing packaged food consumption compounds the benefits significantly. 2 weeks of label reading produces a lasting shift in purchasing behavior. You see the reality of the food supply and make different choices. Your legs can feel better than they do now. That is not a speculative hope. It is a documented physiological outcome of a specific dietary change. This change is available to you today, at no cost beyond replacing a bottle of oil. The role of vitamin E is better understood in the context of whole food antioxidant protection. Vitamin E, found in animal fats, nuts, and seeds, functions as a chain-breaking antioxidant. It interrupts the oxidative cascade in lipid membranes before it can propagate. When the diet is high in polyunsaturated fats, the demand for vitamin E increases substantially. When the diet shifts toward more saturated and monounsaturated fats, the oxidative burden decreases. The available vitamin E provides more meaningful protection per unit. The 2026 guidelines emphasize real food sources of vitamin E over isolated supplements. Hydration is the final practical variable that directly affects leg circulation. Adequate hydration reduces blood viscosity, making it easier for blood to move through vessels. Dehydration, common in adults over 60, thickens the blood. It increases the cardiac work required to maintain circulation to the extremities. Restoring vascular health through diet and maintaining hydration addresses both structural and fluid dynamics. The 2026 food pyramid reversal on seed oils is not a peripheral footnote. It is the central dietary correction of the era, particularly for adults over 60. Their vascular systems have been living with the biochemical consequences of 4 decades of old advice. The correction came too late for damage already done, but in time for damage that does not have to continue. The window for dietary change to make a measurable difference is longer than most people assume. The endothelium turns over. Vessel walls remodel. Membrane fatty acid composition shifts. The system is not frozen. It responds to the conditions you give it, even now. You have the information. You have the grocery list. The only remaining step is the decision to act on it. Your vascular system will tell you whether you did. Start the replacement this week. Your legs have been waiting long enough. If you made it this far, leave a like and a comment telling me what surprised you most. It helps me reach more people who need this information. And if you would like to support this channel, the Buy Me a Coffee link is in the description. We are in this together. Stay well. Stay strong.